There are two kinds of people in this world, those who are dreamers and those who have been already here. Dear friends, thank you for coming to the first ever Innovation Attitude Summit. As you can see, this work has been the result of the achievement of an amazing group of people. And it wouldn't be possible to accommodate you and to hear you also without the support of our dear partners. So we take this opportunity to thank from the city of Belgrade, from the Chamber of Commerce and Industry, to the National Parliament, and also our corporate partners, VIP Mobile, Nordeus, Netcast, Vital and Jaffa. And throughout these 3 days, we would like you to become more tenacious and to harbor your innovation attitude. So I would like you to welcome with a warm round of applause from the city of Belgrade, our dear colleague, Mr. Dragomir Petronijević. Thank you for being here.
Hello, welcome to Belgrade. It is a great honor that I have the opportunity to greet you on behalf of the environment. You have come to the city of creative people who consider ideas as a value of utmost important. I hope that you will find a way to transfer knowledge and build up a new friendship which will help you in your future work. I wish you to enjoy all the charms of the city which are alive 24 hours a day. Take up initiative and propose the offers for improvement, and it will be our honor to be your partners. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Petronijević. And now, on behalf of the Embassy of Israel, our dear partner, Ms. Jenny Sedov, Deputy Ambassador, will address you. Welcome, Jenny.
Thank you. Welcome, everyone. Dear Milena, dear Mr. Petronijević, dear members of startup, IT, and business community, entrepreneurs, students, and friends. It is my pleasure to welcome you on behalf of the Embassy of Israel to this innovative and important summit, which its name is based on the same principle as Israeli innovation is. We call it chutzpah, resilience. It is our mission to support and promote initiatives aimed at boosting entrepreneurship, innovation, and highly positioning IT and startup community on the map of Serbian economy as the driving forces, and to introduce the Israeli example in all of those areas. In this regard, we recognize the INAT Summit as such initiative and are very happy that as part of our cooperation, you will be able to hear today Israeli experience from two highly respected experts from Tel Aviv Global and Tel Aviv Foundation. Ms. Sharon Landes-Fischer and Ms. Hila Oren will share with us their experiences in positioning Tel Aviv in the international arena by fusing its two brands, Tel Aviv Startup City and Tel Aviv Non-Stop City. I am sure that you will be enjoying their views and insights on how Tel Aviv became an innovation hub and what was the role of the municipality in it. The embassy will continue to keep high-tech and innovation, as well as clean tech, agro-tech, and promotion of tourism initiatives in Serbia on top of our agenda by engaging with all the relevant stakeholders. I wish you all a very successful conference. Enjoy. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Sedov. And now we will give the floor to very energizing people who don't need special introduction. Lidija Marković Rosati and Thomas Björge are not only INAT Summit mentors, but now that you are here, they become your mentors. And they will talk about psychology of success and how actually the paradigm of success can be completely different if you have the right attitude. Lidija and Thomas, the floor is yours.
Can we get the music up, please? Or down, whatever the case may be. Hey guys, my name is Lidija, and I'm one part of two parts of Momentum Strategies, Coaches and Training. And I am extremely honored to be here today at the INAT Summit. And I don't know about you, but I feel extremely inacious. It's the new word that I coined like last week or so, and very proud of it. And yes, so welcome to this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful place and beautiful theater.
And I'm Björge. Thomas Björge. It's a pleasure to be here at INAT.
Excellent. So one of the things that we will be talking today and doing the workshop on tomorrow is psychology of success and what it takes to be the person who actually makes a difference and who actually creates the dent in the universe. And there are many, 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 many factors that influence how we think, how we do, how we act. And one of the most important things, at least most important for me, and what has happened, what I have seen happening and influences my clients and people I work with, and has made a huge difference in my life, is really harnessing the power of my own state, my own attitude, and my own energy. And I didn't think about psychology of success when I was younger, and even younger than I am today, because I started my years in the high-powered world of investment banking, where it was all go, 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 do, achieve, achieve, achieve. And I didn't really know why and what and how. I just followed and lived really somebody else's dream. So I burnt out big time, and I decided that something really needed to change. And what needed to change was I needed to learn how to calm my mind, because in order to keep it together, I realized that keeping it together is the key thing if I want to share it. And if I want to share it, if I want to give it, and if I want to live the life of value, like giving value. And so I realized that this burnout was a blessing in disguise in many ways. So the first thing that I didn't really decide, kind of, you know, life sometimes decides things for you and you become mega clever and do stuff, is that why do I do certain things and why do I want them? Intention. Why do I want something? What is my intention? What do I want to achieve? And how do I want to achieve it? So intention guided me. Intention nurtured me, nurtured my dreams. It helped me navigate. And when I navigated, I could direct my attention to where I actually wanted it to go. And that attention created the attitude. And the attitude resulted in transition and transformation. So after many years, and I don't know if you followed or if you wrote this down, but the I, double N, A, and T, INAT, are intention, nurture, navigate, attention, and attitude. So that helped me go from totally burning out to really thriving. And I thrive in many, many, many ways by empowering young entrepreneurs. Together with Thomas, we travel across the world. We teach in Serbia, in Belgium, in Sweden, in London, in New York, and Hong Kong. And it is such a pleasure to actually use your experience and share it and give value to others. And my intention for you, for this weekend, for life really, is that you learn and you get the most out of life so that you can go share and thrive. And what else can I tell you in this brief introduction that may be of use to you, apart from intention and having a big vision and knowing why you want to do things, is also that the importance of keeping the calm and quiet mind in the era where everything is super busy and changing very fast. Because if you keep your mind calm, if you keep it together, then you can create, you can innovate, and you really can make a meaningful difference in the world. And it may not be everyone's intention, but I do believe that every single one of us has got that special something that really the world we live in needs. And if we play our cards right, and if we follow our guiding star, our vision and our intention, we can really achieve great, great, great many things. And my vision and intention and the need to give, to contribute, and to transform have actually resulted in me this year writing a book, Gaining While Losing, The Gentle Art of Transformation, that became #1 Amazon best-selling book. And I'm mega proud of that, like mega, 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 mega proud. So, thank you. Thank you. And the reason why I call it the gentle art of transformation is that I tried the hardcore hustle game of running, doing, creating, achieving, like, you know, a hamster on the wheel. And that really gave results, but not really meaningful results. And so I thought, okay, so if I direct my attention to where it actually needs to go, I can create transformation, not just a change, but really transformation in a gentle way, in the way that will nurture me, that will nourish my dreams, and that can actually give, you know, give meaningful in a way, like contribute meaningfully. Because, you know, I don't know about you, but if you've noticed that, you know, we do live in the world where everything is hustle, hustle, hustle. You know, you need to go, you need to run, you need to achieve. And that's all nice and dandy, but it's not everyone's achieving style. There are different styles and different ways of achieving. And if you run, you run the risk of being run over. And that is not to anyone's benefit, least of all yours. And so if you stop and if you think, how can I do it differently? If you focus more on long-term sustainable transformation rather than short-term change, you can achieve a lot more. Sometimes it takes longer, but not longer than a short-term change. Short-term change can be very, very costly and can result sometimes in a failure from which, you know, very few people can recover. And so, you know, may end up living there. So I do believe my core message really is that, you know, it is possible to achieve and it is possible to transform gently. So if you learn how to hustle gently, you can, you know, you can get to wherever you want to get with ease and beautiful grace. And yes, that's all from me for today, because we've got like 15 minutes each. So I'll let you speak to Thomas now.
So I would like to ask you guys, how many of you were on Facebook 11 years ago? I see a couple of hands, not that many though. So 11 years ago, Facebook had 8 million users. it was a company that didn't turn profit. So imagine for a moment, you have this brilliant company, it doesn't turn a profit, and someone comes to you and they say, listen, we're Yahoo. We're going to buy your company. We're going to give you $1 billion. $1 billion. Not 1 million, 1 billion. It's a lot of money. So you call a meeting for the board. And now on this meeting there are 3 people, Mark Zuckerberg, Ernst Thiel, one other guy, risk investor. And Mark enters the room and he goes, okay, so guys, this meeting was just a formality. Obviously we're going to turn down the offer. Obviously we're going to say no. Ask yourself, what on earth would make you turn down an offer of $1 billion? And your cut is going to be, by the way, $250 million. What would make you turn it down? Well, so Ernst Thiel, one of the other people in the room, he goes, well, Mark, shouldn't we at least consider it? I mean, it's $1 billion, it's money. Well, I don't really need the money. What would I do with it? I'd probably just build another social network, and I kind of like the one we've got. Now, there was also a business consideration in this, because he added, I don't think Yahoo really values the future. Now, this, to my mind, what a strong belief in the future. What a strong belief in stuff that doesn't even exist yet. You own a company, it's at a loss, and you're fairly certain it's going to be worth more than 1 billion. And, well, you know what happened to Facebook. But I think the core here is the distinction between why do you work? Do you go to the job in order to make money, or do you go there for some other purpose? So, actually, before I go there, history has a funny way of repeating itself, right? So, how long ago was it? 3-4 years ago, Mark Zuckerberg decides, I want to buy Snapchat. And he gives them the offer, $3 billion, or so the rumors say. And Evan Spiegel goes, no, I'm not interested. I'm more interested in running this company. Now, I am privileged. And I don't mean that just in the sense that I get to travel the world and meet interesting people. But I'm privileged in the sense that I don't really have a job anymore. I'm privileged in the sense that what I do, I work very hard, don't get me wrong. But I work because it's my work. Do you understand? Do you get the difference here? This is something, what I do is something I consider so important that money is, to be honest with you, secondary. I guess you're all familiar with the character Harry Potter? Yeah. So J.K. Rowling, she experienced a brief period where she was a failure, quote unquote. She had basically lost everything. Her marriage has fallen apart. She was a single mom. She had no money. She was as poor, well, as she puts it, she was as poor as you can be in modern-day Britain. Now, she found something there. Having lost everything, she found the courage to pursue her own dream, to pursue what was really interesting to her, what was really relevant. And she started writing. Now, J.K. Rowling became a huge success, as you all know. Personally, I think she would have made the right choice even had she not become a huge success. Because there is a value in following your own inner voice, in following your bliss, in doing what only you can do. Well, it doesn't have to be what only you can do, but in following that calling. Star Wars. Do you remember that scene? Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're my only hope. Okay, and Obi-Wan goes, Luke, you must come with me and train in the ways of the Force like your father before you. And Luke goes, no, I can't do that because I need to do this and that and the other. That's your uncle speaking. I think that's a key phrase. That's your uncle speaking. Who decides what you dream? Is it the voices from the outside? Is it the environment you're in? Or do the dreams emerge from the inside? Now, Luke refuses the calling. He says, no, 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 this ain't gonna happen. Let's go find the robots. And then he gets pushed into that adventure anyways. And that is quite a common experience. Because when the adventure calls, it may be a little bit scary, it may require risks. Now, risk is a very interesting concept because you cannot escape risk. A lot of people think that, oh, I'll take the least risky option. Sorry, it doesn't exist. And certainly, doing what everybody else is doing, avoiding risk, is extremely risky.
And since we are on the topic of risk and whose dream are you dreaming, in the world of entrepreneurship that we belong, we've got multiple businesses, Thomas and I, we realize that if you really want to thrive, if you really want to do it according to your own terms and setting your own standards and putting your own authentic input into it, it is really important to look for certainty within yourselves. What many people do, what we see, they have a dream, they have a big vision, and every vision carries with it a certain amount of uncertainty. So if you really want to thrive, you need to flex your uncertainty muscle or the capacity for uncertainty. Because if you want everything to be perfect, if you want certainty at any cost, if you want to know what's going to happen in the end and how it's going to happen, then, maybe entrepreneurship and, the life of living your dream is not for you yet. However, if you are really hungry and if you really believe that your dream is your dream only, and you know that no matter what, you're going to go and do it regardless of whether you know what is going to happen along the way, whether you are going to have certainty or not, and let me break it gently to you, nothing is really certain. There are no certainties. Things change and happen all the time. What is certain is you. What is certain is that you know what you want and you know how you want it. But then be able and available to flow and to adjust. Not adjusting your dream, but create the level of behavioral flexibility that really will help you thrive in the age of uncertainty. And in the times of uncertainties is where great, great, great things happen. It's actually where transformation happens. Change happens when we want something and, we want it, we know how we want it, and we are okay to move a little bit out of the comfort zone. And that change we all have experienced, but very people have actually thrived in the change. And change tend to be very brash, very loud, very in your face, go, go, go. And it's not long-term sustainable, and it's very depleting, energy depleting and resource depleting. Transformation, on the other hand, is very subtle. It's super quiet. And it happens when you build your own belief, your inner strength internally. It is internally motivated. And it is conceived from inside. And you yourself are responsible for it. So if you want certainty, and if you want transformation, and if you want to thrive, and if you want to make it big in the world of entrepreneurship, the sooner you start looking within, taking like a deep soul selfie, like, why do I want something? What do I need to do? How do I need to show up internally? What kind of person do I need to be for that I want to achieve internally, without paying attention to what is going on around you? Like observing, but not being influenced by it is, it's a big difference. Then, the world really is yours. So whenever you want something, and you think, oh, this is too big a bite to take, or it may be too risky, or I don't know if I could do it, stop and think, why do you want it? What is your intention? Why do you want to achieve something? And really check, does the motivation comes from inside? Are you inspired to do it? Or does it come from the outside? Do you compare yourself for other people? Do you want what other people want? Because if you do that, you will also step out and you look for certainty on the outside, for the people who are changing, rather than people who are transforming. So, yes, I'm all for transformation, and I'm all for looking within and following really my own inner compass. And that doesn't mean being selfish and egotistic, absolutely not. But in order for us to really give of value, we need to know why we are doing it. And it needs to come from our authentic inner self. So inside out is the name of the game, and capacity for uncertainty, because that helps you achieve smartly, achieve gently, and really achieve elegantly. And that's all from me for you today. Thank you so much, and I look forward to hanging out with you guys tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you.
How are you? We don't get to see you on stage, at least I don't. So it seems that people are sleeping. Can we get some cheers, some excitement? Woo! Because now we're gonna hear from one of the best professors in this region and one of the coolest ex-Googlers. Please welcome on board our wonderful Lazar Džamić.
Tu smo. Super pesma. Here, there and everywhere describes me quite well. So really, oh goodness lights. Really pleased to be here today, predominantly because of the name, apart from, of course, Milena being the driving force behind it, and she always has good ideas. The name is a very Serbian name, as we know, and in this particular case, it's not just the INAT in a destructive way, but the INAT as a force for good, meaning I read INAT as resilience, as perseverance, and that wonderful Hebrew word that somebody mentioned, chutzpah. I've been using that word kind of a lot in my life. But I just realized, actually, I would need a clicker. So I just need to grab a clicker before we continue. And the reason that I need a clicker, that I would like to take you through a few things about success. Because INAT, read in the way that I read it today, actually means success in some ways. And it struck me that when we talk about success, we very often talk about the end result of success. We talk about what is success. For a lot of people, that's money and some sort of societal status. So the technology of success, how to succeed. And we often, or sometimes, may also talk about that philosophy of success, meaning what it really means. Does it fulfill you? And what actually it means when you achieve it? And how do you know that you have achieved it? But actually, it struck me that not a lot of times we do talk about the anthropology of success, which means how do we get to success? Is that the thing that we do on our own? Or is it something that actually depends around these circumstances around us as well? Which I think is quite an interesting thing, because I believe there's a sort of a bias when we talk about success. And the bias is that it's almost like charging on a unicorn. That you actually mount your unicorn, and with the sheer power of your will, you're going to charge towards success, and you're eventually going to succeed. And when you succeed, what that means in the startup communities, you're going to sell your unicorn, right? So that's basically how we see success, as something we do on our own, as something that exclusively depends on ourselves, and that nothing else matters. And sometimes that's true. I do agree with that. Sometimes actually with the sheer power of our will, we can break through obstacles and we can shape the environment to actually eventually allow us to succeed. But I think that there's maybe something not quite totally right or full with that definition of success. That if you treat success purely as a solo melody that we play in our lives all the time. It's all like Paganini just kind of grabbing his violin, and with the sheer power of the talent, he actually manages to break through all the cultural barriers and whatever actually has been going on in music before him, and say, this is probably the best violinist ever that actually walked the earth. It's literally looking at success as being just a melody, a solo melody that we play on our own. I don't think that's the full and total, and not even correct, sometimes correct, but not the total and the full answer to the story of success. My experience, and kind of what I experienced myself, but also lots of things that I've observed, is that success very often is like a chord. It's, we need to find the complementary notes and the complementary melodies in our surroundings, with people around us, the people we are working with, and in our particular environment in order to make it a success. So it's almost like becoming part of an orchestra, or if you do have a melody that we play on our own, and that melody is our particular talent, our particular drives, our particular vision, that we need to find other complementary notes to that melody in order to make it a chord. Because I do believe, genuinely do believe personally, that success is both a melody and a chord, meaning that you do have to have that melody, you do have to have something that is yours, your particular talent, your particular vision. But then also, the clever people are actually trying to join that melody with other similar melodies in order to make it a more powerful chord, because the chances of succeeding are much higher and much better. So, talent, in other words, needs context. Talent doesn't sit on some sort of a mountain on its own, in a vacuum, and just kind of miraculously gets realized somehow. Talent needs context, because only when we do understand the context, we can actually release and almost unleash our talent to its full potential. So understanding the context is incredibly important. And one of the probably most important ways to understand the context is to understand what is talent at all, and how can we know, how can we spot the talent? How can we know that we have it? And how can we know that some people that we want to work with, or let's say if you're an employer, if you have your own business and you need to employ new people, how are you going to recognize talent so that you know that this person is the right person for you, I know that one? And if you are on the receiving end of the job interview, how would you talk about your talent, and how actually you're going to pick the job in the first place? How would you know that this company is better for you than that company? I think these are absolutely critical questions, again, in my own experience, when we talk about talent and we talk about success. And what I would like to do today is actually to take you some of my own experiences in Google, for example, the way that I got my job at Google, but also how Google and similar companies, innovative companies, predominantly from the Silicon Valley, but not exclusively, are actually looking at talent, how they interview people for the job. What is it that shapes the perception of this is a good person for us or not? And the book that is actually shaping a lot of my career And this talk is the book that I would like to actually give to every person on earth, particularly everybody who does anything with education and anything with employing and hiring people. And that's the book that is called The End of Average by Professor Todd Rose, whom I had kind of a privilege to listen to at Google, but also then I actually read the book and pursued many of the other things that he's doing. He's an absolutely brilliant guy. He's the world's leading authority in the relatively new science called the science of the individual. And it's slightly different from the traditional psychology and particularly absolutely critical for ways that we perceive talent and education as well. So basically, this talk is based on his book, and if I may say so, this talk is also dedicated to him because he's changed my life. He's changed the way how Google and many other companies look at talent and employ people, and that's the biggest secret. And the way that all of us here, I think, should be thinking about ourselves as talent, and also when we do interview people for jobs and want to employ, because his findings are absolutely critical. So, yeah. So what is average? The whole system, our whole civilization is based on average and averages. Well, what is average? And there's, of course, a lot of statistical answers and the common sense answers, what is average? But the problem is that average doesn't exist. Actually doesn't exist. None of you, none of us in this room is average. And that's kind of the first thing we need to learn. And it's kind of counterintuitive, but actually it's really, really true. Here's how the American Air Force actually found that there is no average. So the first cockpit in American fighter planes was designed in 1926. And they've been using that particular cockpit all the way after the Second World War. In the 1950s, actually, their rate of success, the rate of accidents and incidents the pilots had was it was rocketing really, really, really high. And nobody knew what to do with that. Said, oh, there's pilots' mistakes and there's this and that. But the problem was that nobody knew what the problem was. And what they actually decided to do is to redesign the cockpit, because eventually they kind of got it that there's something wrong with the cockpit, the way how the instruments and everything was laid out around the pilots, the UX problem in today's language. And they then done a huge research project. 4,036 pilots measured on 140 dimensions, bodily dimensions. So everything from the thumb length to the arm length to how your crotch is, your crotch height, the distance between the ear and the mouth. I mean, 140 anthropological physical dimensions being measured on 4,036 pilots. And then what happened? They designed the cockpit to accommodate the averages on all the dimensions. But the problem was that the accidents didn't stop. On the contrary, in some of the kind of instances, the accidents have increased. So they were really completely and utterly bewildered. So one of the lieutenants, who happened to be kind of the Harvard anthropological, physical anthropology graduate, he realized that something is wrong. And what he did, he took 10 of the most important dimensions, physical dimensions, and actually said, how are the rest of the pilots actually conforming to those 10 critical dimensions? Meaning that he actually took as an average 30% in the middle. So if you get average as complete middle in kind of the measurements, he said 15% of the smaller or less than middle, 50% higher than the middle is going to be the zone of comfort. So it's pretty generous, 30% in the middle took it as the average. What happened on 10 of the most important dimensions that actually he tried to measure all the living physical pilots, when he actually compared their measures to those averages? There was 0% of pilots that actually conformed to all 10 dimensions. That's 10 out of 140. 0. Not 1 out of 4,036 conformed to any of the 10 dimensions. None of them actually had all 10 fully done. What happened when he actually looked at only 3 of the dimensions out of 10? There was only 3.5% of pilots that actually fitted on just 3 of those dimensions. So basically, the big learning is There's no average person. Absolutely not. And that goes in so many other instances of our life. Averages don't exist, but averages drive our educational system and our employment system, the ways that we spend the time in school and the ways that we spend time in the offices. It was really, it really bothered me, and I became completely bewildered before I read the book, that two of the most important spaces, environments that we actually spend our lives in, school or education, school and universities, education and work, are two of the most miserable places, two of the most miserable environments and experiences that we experience during our lives. Something's obviously wrong. Most of the time in our lives we spend in those two environments and we feel really bad. We can't wait not to go to school. We can't wait not to go to work. Why? Because we are forced to conform to the averages. Because the educational system that we know it today, oddly, and most of the business environments are made based on the Taylorism philosophy from the 1920s and 1930s of the last century, where basically the industrial management became standard, and the industrial management and the industrial way of working demanded industrialization of education as well. Do you know why we have to get up at 6 o'clock, for example in Serbia, be in a school at 7 o'clock in the morning or 7:30 in the morning? Why? Is there a research that actually says that pupils are more productive if they come to work at 7:30? Sorry, come to school at 7:30. No. Why do we have a bell at the end of a class? Why a bell? Why not just ending the class? Because the bell was introduced, all of it, the early start, the structured classes, that they don't actually pick the kids for the classes. Everybody goes in. There's no criteria for that. The bell and everything else is the conditioning for the factory. Because the idea at the time was that pupils should get used to the life in the factory. Hence the bell as well, because the factory bell announces when the day is over. So we are still living the system, the paradigm, the philosophy of the 1920, 1930 of the last century. And we live more and more in the post-industrial society. So industry loves averages, managers love averages because they allow them to select people. Basically, how we train people in school to do is to be average just a little bit better. Right? That's actually the system. Testing and everything else is you have to beat the average a little bit. But that system is not made to actually develop your full potential as an individual. It's actually just to gauge you where you are on the scale of average and say, oh, you're a little bit better, we're going to put you over there. You can have a promising career in front of you. And you're not doing kind of as well as the average, you must be a problem. But that's rubbish. And we know today that that's rubbish. Because we don't know, how to spot the talent. We don't know how to recognize the talent because of that. These are all the famous dropouts from school. People who could not fit. Or Einstein, who was told in no uncertain terms that you're useless. Nothing is going to come out of you because you do not conform to the average. So we are really bad. This civilization, our businesses, our schools are really bad at recognizing and spotting talent. So what Professor Todd Rose and many others who are doing in that field have done, they completely redesigned what a talent is, how to spot and how to define what you're strong at and what you're not strong at. And there are three basic tenets of the science of the individual. One is that each of us doesn't have an average profile, but has a so-called jagged profile, which means that we're going to be really good at certain things and really bad at some other things. And we need to know that. And our position at work needs to match the jagged profile, which means that each position in each of the companies should have a defined jagged profile. Here's an example. Very often in the employment description of the position, of the job, it says he has to be or she has to be a really good communicator. What does that mean? What does that mean to be a good communicator? To be really comfortable, like this, coming out in front of a few hundred people presenting without a problem? or presenting to a smaller team inside the company, the team that I know well, or being really good one-on-one, being able to establish really good rapport with just one person, being a good communicator who is not afraid to actually talk relatively openly to a more senior person in a company, or somebody who actually is afraid of that. There's probably 6 or 7 different definitions of what a good communicator is, and they all depend on context. So when you define a job in your company, or when you're looking for a job, and it says you have to be a good communicator, you ask, what do you mean by that? Because you can't be all of it. It's very rare that somebody can be really good at everything. I'm not very good at managing upwards, simply because I always say what I think. So I'm not a very good communicator in that sense. So the jagged profile is the first tenet of the science of the individual. Each of us has a jagged profile. And the first thing we need to know is what are strong points, what are weak points, what is our jagged profile. The second one is that everything depends on context, and that our behavior and the ways of thinking is also influenced by context quite significantly. And the third one is that each of us has a different path to learn or to learning. We learn in different ways. Some people need more time to learn and then get better results than people who actually took shorter time. And if you cut my test after 2 hours and we're just warming up, my results are not going to be not very good. If you allow me to do another 30 minutes, I'm going to be better than 90% of the class. We have different ways how we learn and how we show learning. So the first thing is that they define is that we need to listen to jagged profiles, or define jagged profiles. And the second one, sorry, this is a little bit slow, is that this is exactly the philosophy that Google and many enlightened companies are applying when they hire people. So how does it feel or look being hired by Google? Well, first of all, you're never interviewed by one person. You're never interviewed by your boss. You're interviewed by a group of people. You're interviewed by people that you're going to be working with, the team that you're going to be working with or in. So managers at Google can't hire and can't fire. That's happening by a committee in Mountain View, in the central. Why? Obviously, to remove the biases, I want just people like you here. And they look at 4 different buckets of characteristics, personal characteristics, that actually define your jagged profile. The first is the general cognitive ability. General cognitive ability means, and that's the second biggest predictor of job success after doing the example of the work project, basically, that you would be doing in your real life, but that's very difficult actually to do for many of the professions. So general cognitive ability, if you're kind of quick to learn, if you're able to learn, and you have kind of relatively general good kind of intelligence, I would say, it's a really good basis for everything. And general cognitive ability is being assessed on a set of very structured questions. Because the third biggest predictor of the success at work is structured interviews. Behavioral and, structured interviews, just not going to go into details. Because there was lots of research actually showing what's important for the success at a job. You know the mantra, first 10 seconds of an interview are the most important. You never have a second chance to make the first impression. All this shalala. Well, that's great if you want to be successful at the interview. It doesn't mean anything whether you're going to be successful at your job. Because the interview is not a job. It's a completely different thing. I've interviewed a lot of people in the beginning, before I knew that, who were really good at interviewing and really bad at job. I'm not joking, really. So the very first thing that I've learned is that the interview and the actual job are completely different things. And the hunch, the 10 seconds, is completely useless to predict how somebody is going to fit into the real job. So the 4 buckets are general cognitive ability, leadership, whether you are actually able and prone solving the problems on your own before you actually go to your boss and say, I can't solve this, but I've tried these other kind of 3 other things, so now I'm really, really stuck. Work-related experience. Do you have any experience, or what is your experience, and how you talk about your experience in your previous lines of work? Or you're completely new, so there's not a lot of work-related experience, but that is part of your jagged profile. And the 4th is so-called googliness. And the googliness is a set of particular characteristics that are going to make you a particularly good fit with Google as a company. One of those is thriving in chaos. Why? Because it's a fast-changing world. Google is a fast-changing company. In my 2.5 years there, I've been through 3 big reorganizations, completely tearing apart departments and putting it back together. So if you're afraid of chaos, of uncertainty, I think Lidija mentioned uncertainty, if you're afraid of that, you're not going to be a good fit. You have to welcome chaos as an opportunity to do new things. And there's kind of another set of characteristics under Googliness. So only when you kind of put all 4 things together, interviewed by a set of different people every single time on a different dimensions, who are, by the way, taking copious notes of your exact responses. Oh, he was a very smart candidate. Why? Show me in the notes. What was clever about it? So they have to type your answers as you talk about it. So basically, you're talking to the laptop all the time. Could be a bit unnerving. Only then, they actually say, oh, this person is going to be a better fit for this job or not. So all of that is explained in the book called Work Rules, written by Laszlo Bock, who is still the global head of HR at Google. I strongly recommend that you read it because it's based a lot on Ted Rose's findings and his book as well. So my first interview was actually a group interview. I was interviewed by the whole department that I'm joining. There was 15 people in the room. And they've asked me to do a presentation on how I see creative planning, strategic planning, in the advertising sense, in today's world. And the title of my presentation was Confessions of a Window Cleaner. And some old people here in the room will remember a serial, a very cheeky kind of soft porn British films from the 1970s who actually had exactly the same title, Confessions of a Window Cleaner. So why that? Because I wanted to immediately establish my territory and position, that I talk about things in different ways, not in the traditional ways. So I think that a strategic planner is a window cleaner. It cleans the window between a brand and the audience so that each of them can see each other much better if you're doing kind of a proper strategic work. And the whole line of narrative was then driven out of it. So I was talking to 15 people, and you know what? I got the job. But why did I get the job? Did I get the job because I was a better candidate? Yes, I was. But what a better candidate actually means. Did I have a more distinguished career in the business? No. There were 9 other incredibly senior strategic planners that were interviewed before me. Many of them, half of them have a bigger name. They are proper A-listers, as they would call them out there, who are actually quite well known in the industry, quite well known in the trade press, really, really big names. So I wasn't a better planner in the way that I had kind of a better, more distinguished career. Was I a better planner at all? Well, some of them are phenomenally good planners. I doubt it. I wasn't bad at my work, but I doubt I was so good, actually better than them. But I had something else. My jagged profile, a very strong point in my jagged profile is that I can talk about anything in interesting ways. So people say. Or that I can talk about data, in this particular case, in interesting ways, which I've done in my presentation. Means that when I look at data, and Google is replete with data, on Google's data universe only in 2015 is like the Milky Way times 112, if each of the query is a star. Because there I can talk about it in really interesting different ways. So I talk about data as being the most sexy thing in the world. I talked about turning light into heat, insights into visceral, emotional storytelling opportunities for brands. All those things, all that jazz. And what actually gave me the job was exactly that. I got the job, not because I was the best planner in the room, because I was the one who was talking about what they exactly needed to take people with them, and show them the power of data and inspire them in the way that they exactly needed. So my jagged profile fitted with the job perfectly, and they recognized that. So knowing your strengths is a really good thing to do to start with. And actually, there's one thing before that, which is knowing the job that you are pitching for, knowing the job that you're looking for. What is the exact shape, the jagged profile of the job that you are pursuing? Is it any job? Just any salary? Even if that's going to make you completely miserable 1 year down the line, and you're going to leave, and you're going to suffer a nervous breakdown, or something else. Or is it going to be the perfect job? Or not the perfect job, but the job that actually matches your jagged profile perfectly. So the first thing I would recommend to anybody who is looking for a job or is offering a job to somebody else, how that job is defined, how that chord is defined really properly, particularly from the point of view of a jagged profile. And then the second rule I would like to mention is know your strengths and play by your strengths. Because that's going to give you a much better chance of succeeding with other people won't, because simply they won't have your jagged profile. You're going to be unique. You are not average. You are you, and if you know yourself well, you're going to find the right hole, the right shaped hole for your profile. And the third one is, when you go into that room, or when you're looking at a candidate across the desk, be grown up, don't be desperate. There's nothing that can kill your career prospect as much as being desperate, or producing that air of being desperate. What does that mean? Sorry, what it means? It means that there's a fine line you have to walk there. If you're too arrogant, people don't like that. Unless you're in a certain, Lidija, forgive me for saying that, investment banking, for example. It's not going to hurt you if you're a bit arrogant. Right? So don't be arrogant. People usually don't like that. But also don't be desperate. People really don't like that. So it's a very fine line of being balanced and producing the air of being grown up, being grounded, thinking quickly, thinking fast, but producing that air of being grown up. So these are kind of my 3 rules for today. And what I actually want to share with you is that talent needs context. Nobody is average. Define your jagged profile, and you're defining a job that you want to offer to somebody, define that job properly so that people can recognize how they can fit into it. And then, as we heard, everything is possible. Thank you.
We have a surprise for you, actually, now. Our next speaker, Lenja Faraguna, comes all the way from Slovenia, but what is more important, in exactly 1 month, she will be sharing the stage with one of the most influential speakers in the world. So she's a perfect example of how we can try and achieve our dreams. She will share the stage with Gary Vee. How many of you know Gary Vee? Give it up if you know. How come you don't know about him? Šta reče? So what Lenja will tell us is how actually all of us are unique and how we can make our personal brand. Because she's a perfect example of that you can be successful with your family, in your business, and you can actually travel around the world and live the lifestyle you want. So I would like to invite our dear Lenja to come to the stage and share her inspirational story. Lovely to have you here.
Okay, guys, we're in a theater, and in a theater you improvise, right? So, I have written down your questions for me about marketing, and because you are the stars of this summit, not us on the stage, I want to answer these, okay? God, I hate it when I can't see you. Okay, so the clicker, we will put it here. A banana, right. So this is my secret to success. Why? Because when I was in high school, mathematics was not my zone of genius, okay? So we had the matura. You know what that is? Yes. Oh, God. My mother had a friend, and that friend was a psychotherapist. And my mother said, you are so nervous, right, when it comes to doing the matura in mathematics, that maybe you should just go talk to him. So I came to his office, and he gave me a banana. I was like, what? Really? Like, I wanted an expert here? And then he said, like, just before you go and talk to you know, the people that will judge whether you are clever enough to go to university or not. Eat the banana first. And just remember that everything... Hi, darling. That's my 8-month-old boy. He said, everything that you know and everything that you need is inside of you all the time. This banana would just do something chemical to your brain, and chemistry was not my genius mode either, so I have no bloody idea what that does to my brain, but it works. So for 12 years that I've been speaking and doing my stuff, see? I have always eaten a banana when just minutes before I go on stage. But because I have a boy and he really needed me, I couldn't eat it. So I'll just have one bite so that I can be in my zone of genius and I can be completely and utterly like a friend on stage. Okay? Yeah, a round of applause for Noah. Let's see. You need to find my presentation. Yay!
Hello.
Igor, say something to them, entertain them.
Hello, people. Nice to see you. Sorry for this technical mistake. We will try to troubleshoot it soon, so our presentation will continue. Don't worry, like in a few seconds. I hope you're having a great time.
Thank you, Igor. We practiced that all night. Okay? Good. It should be there now. Okay, let's see if this works. No. The projector is scared because he didn't have a banana. Okay, so let's just start, or shall we just talk about something? Do you want to talk about mathematics? No. Okay. What should we do? Sorry? It's here. No. It goes automatically. We practice that too. Okay, let's plug it in again. Can you just plug it in? No. Okay. Yay! It's okay. Belgrade is the world's new capital of cool. Yes? Do you agree? My husband was born in Belgrade, so it must be true because he's a cool guy. Okay. So now look at that. How cool is this venue? Is that a woo? Come on, guys. You're Serbian. Where's your energy? You're not Slovenians. I would expect this from Slovenians and not from Serbian people. Okay? All right. So what I wanted to say is that this word, INAT, okay, to translate what Noah just said is that INAT is like there is no box way of thinking. This is how I see it. And doing a summit of this content with this amazing INAT Summit team is thinking like there is no box, not just outside the box. Do you understand this? Doing something like this here is completely different from how everybody else do it who are in this technology, IT industry, right? And this is what I love. This is how I see that people who are doing this think like there is no box. And I would say that this is also INAT, okay? Doing something in spite of everybody else doing the same old shit over and over and over again, and they do it differently. Okay, so I will talk about modern marketing, or how your naked brand is worth 400 trillion. Yes, I'm blonde, but I do sometimes have clever ideas. Sometimes. So, tell me, I hope you will be seeing this. What do you see on this photograph? Okay? Can you see something? Can you just tell me? It's not a trick question. I really want to know what you see. Butterfly? Do you see green leaves? Yes. Do you see branches? Yes. Anything else? Who sees a lizard? I want to meet that person. Come on stage. Come, come. This has never, ever happened, right? I told you Belgrade is cool. Hi. Lenja. Alex, come on. You're from Slovenia? See? Okay. Okay, Alex, can you show them where the lizard is? Yes. And going all up, I don't have the pointer, but this is the tail right here, and then it goes up, and it's like 4 meters big. Can you see it? Okay, thank you, Alex. So from now on, Alex, I will mention you on any presentation. I will do it before Gary Vaynerchuk, okay? So mostly, people look at this photo for 2 minutes, for 3 minutes, and they have no idea what I'm showing them. So why do you think I'm talking about, you know, nature and animals when I'm trying to get a point about marketing across? What do you think this represents? Sorry? Yeah, oh, wow, that's a good one. That's a good one. But yeah, definitely, okay? So definitely what you said, you should do your own thing. But the thing is that I don't want people to search for you on the marketplace as long as you search for this lizard. Do you get that? Most people that I meet, and I've worked with so many startups, they have a brilliant idea. They're brilliant people, but they're nowhere to be found. They're nowhere to be found. They're not visible, right? And they do not want to give themselves to the world openly. So my goal with you today is the sound and everything will be working? Yeah? Okay. Sound geniuses. Now, I just hope that this will not be too loud for them, but this is my goal with you.
Here's to the crazy ones.
Louder?
The misfits. The rebels. The troublemakers. The round pegs in the square holes. The ones who see things differently. They're not fond of rules, and they have no respect for the status quo. You can quote them, disagree with them, glorify or vilify them. About the only thing you can't do is ignore them. Because they change things. They push the human race forward. And while some may see them as the crazy ones, we see genius. Because the people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who do.
Guys, and I want you to know, right, that this ad for Apple is talking about you and everybody. Okay? So there is one thing you can't do. Ignore them. Because they change things. INAT Summit. Milena with her team doing a summit in a theater. You doing your own damn thing, what you believe in. This is how you change things, right? And we've heard amazing talks by Lidija and Thomas and Lazar. Do you get that we're all telling you the same thing with our own words? Do you see that? Because we went through same shit. Exactly. right? Okay, so I would like my team to help me with something because I have a gift for you. So I would now need, yeah, you here, guys? Perfect. Okay, so my goal with you is to understand that you need to achieve this. Anyone else here who loves tattoos beside me? Okay, so the tattoo is the symbol that you do things your way and that you go deep with people, right? So I want you to tattoo yourselves into the hearts, minds, and then their wallets. Don't start the other way around. And most startups are starting with money. Okay? So now my beautiful ladies are giving you sweets, which are actually tattoos, right? And I want you to open the sweet and put the tattoo on your body. Okay? And this is how you will, at least until you have a first shower, I hope it's tonight, you will think of everything that has been said on this stage and to really understand that you are the one who can create this and create this change. Okay, so when you have a break, when I finish, I want all of you to take pictures with your tattoos, okay? And I want to see them on my Facebook, Lenja Faraguna. Just tag me, okay? I love tattoos. Okay, moving on. My name is Lenja, by the way. And because I am an introvert, I will not be saying hi to everybody, although I wish I would. So I would like all of you to shout out your name and tell me your name. 3, 2, 1, go. Anna, Desi. Cool. Super. Okay, so my name is Lenja. I'm a mompreneur now for 8 months and a few days. I have created, no, I don't want to start with that. I want to start with my values. I want to live in the world where every person understands that he or she can change the world. And I want you to understand that you all are world changers. And sometimes, when I say this to my startups, they get scared shitless because they don't want to have this responsibility of actually changing the world, right? But they do. You were born unique, right? So you are a world changer. And you and your personal or your brand doesn't have competition. This is something I truly believe in, and I will explain later. Marketing is dead. Long live Marcareting. I will explain this later too. And you are the captain of your life, not a victim of circumstance. I used to be invisible too. And I had probably the same knowledge that I do now, the same energy. Probably the thing what I didn't have is I didn't go through as much shit as I've gone through till now. So this is why I was invisible. I'll explain. So this is how I started. These were my first offices, and this is how my lectures started. I had 3 people. I had 6 people, and one of them was my dad. And I would bribe people to come to my workshops because nobody knew who the hell is Lenja, right? I started out, and this was my biggest crowd, all friends, right? That I would tell about the things that I've learned about marketing. And at that point, I was still talking about radio advertising a lot because I did my master's thesis on semiotics of radio advertising in London and in Graz. And I never knew that I would go into marketing in general, but more about radio advertising. And when I think of this, I am thankful to the moon and back for having this experience, for having people who were there to listen to me. And it's as important as it is now when I have thousands of people listening to me, not just 27. And then I will show you that this is how you start. And then what it goes to, and I will not use the word this is unbelievable, what I will show you now, but this is very believable that this is happening to me because I've worked hard. And then a friend of mine on Facebook who lives in Romania, and he sends me this photo. Yeah, exactly. I want your imagination to be used, right? Oh, no, I didn't want to say that. Okay, don't worry. That's me 5 years ago. Okay. I didn't want to show you that. Oh, shit. Okay, yes, that's the photo, right? In Bucharest, there's this billboard with my photo on it and my name on it next to these amazing people, right? The authors of the book Funky Business, and Robert Murray, and Julian Treasure, and Gary Vee, and me. How fucking cool is that? Right? When you think that you started with 3 people and you had to bribe them to be here. And I will say, this is not unbelievable. This is believable because this happened. And when you think that for my master's thesis, I was actually quoting the people I'm going to be on stage with. And I am not different than you. None of you. I'm the same. Same brain, the same wiring. I just did things differently and I went through a lot of shit. Right? And I will talk about that. And then you come and watch this video and you just go, wow.
Becomes the business capital of Central and Eastern Europe. 900 business professionals. One day. 6 speakers. Brand Minds 2017. The Business Summit of Central and Eastern Europe. Lenja Faraguna, The Funky Business, Kiel Nordstrom and Jonas Ridderstrale, Julian Treasure, Robert Murray, and the hottest speaker in the world, Gary Vaynerchuk. 22nd of May, Bucharest, Romania. Go big, go global. Join Brand Minds 2017.
When I watch this, and when you are going to watch yourself, what you have achieved, always, always remember that you have to think about where you were and how you got there. That's really important. This keeps you on the right frequency, the frequency in gratitude, okay, for everything that happened in your life. So now I will talk about my biggest breakthroughs of my business. And basically, what I will be, hi darling, I will be talking about my biggest breakthroughs in my mindset, because this is where success begins. Not strategy, not marketing ideas, but basically your mindset. So number 1 is shit. Be thankful, okay? So this is what I have learned when I have had a complete meltdown of my business and personal life in 2012. I had no husband anymore because he decided that he loved somebody else. I had no love, I had no money, and I had no baby that we worked for or on for 7 years. And what I learned is that my shit is actually the fertilizer for the glory. If I hadn't gone through every no I got from people that I wanted to work with, if I didn't go through this meltdown in my life, I wouldn't be able to do what I do now. Okay, so that was the first breakthrough for me. And that meant that I worked on myself. Yes, let's say 5 years ago, if somebody would say, Lenja, you need to work on yourself, you need to read books, you need to have a life coach, you need to go through a life program when you go through every shit that happened to you, I would say, me? I'm a really, really straightforward businesswoman. Reason is the only thing that works for me. But now it's completely different because I know it all starts here and here, right? So that was my big breakthrough. And then the second breakthrough, before I show it to you, I want you to tell me if you know which are the most valuable brands on the planet right now. Sorry? Disney? Yep. Google, Coca-Cola? Virgin? Nike? Thank you. Okay, so let's see how much these are worth. So we have Apple, do you see? 154.1 billion. And then we have Google, and then we have Microsoft. And then we go on, and I have to click Coca-Cola, Facebook, Toyota, IBM, and Disney. Okay? So then I will ask you this. How much is your brand worth right now? $400 trillion. Why? Can you explain to them? You don't know? Let the blonde woman explain it to you. So 1 to 400 trillion is the chance that we have all been born. And I'm not that clever, so I just watch TED Talks, and this is how I learn. Who here watches TED Talks? Good, I love it. TED Talk is my drug, okay? This is how I open to the world even more, and to myself. So Mel Robbins, she had this TED Talk, and this is how I found out. And I want you to remember that all that 154.1 billion, that's shit, you're 400 trillion. And this is how I want you to go into the world and tell them who you are and what you have to offer. So number 2, the biggest breakthrough was that I was finally being okay to be me openly in front of people, in front of my business partners, in front of my clients, in front of all the people that I talk. Do you understand that? That's a big thing. What you see me do here, it's not a stage act. This is what I am. This is how I talk. I just use the F word more than I use it on stage. Okay? But all the same, all the things that I say and how I am here is who I am. So being me openly, and this is something that Gary Vee now says that it's this era where you have to document your life instead of creating your life. By this, he means that you just go, do a Facebook Live. Like, how many of you have done a Facebook Live before you got here or in the middle? Okay, how many? 0. Okay, this is the thing. You have to be visible. Okay, so what I want you to know is that you actually have to document your journey, not just create the perfect product or service, which you can then talk about on social media platforms or any marketing platform. Okay, so this is what I do. I document my journey. I'm writing a book right now, and I put a Facebook group together saying the birth of a book documented live on Facebook. And I tell them everything. Okay, I show them everything, what's happening with me. I'm scared shitless to go and just tell them my ideas, and because, you know, we're all scared, but what if somebody steals it? Well, nobody can do it as the same as Lenja Faraguna, can they? Right? They can take the name, they can take the design, but they cannot do me, and they cannot do you. Nobody can do you. Okay, so this is what I learned, and I just give them myself really transparently, what I do in my business, okay? So, and this is how I understood. I always believed or somehow got connected with the word diamond as the hardest material on the planet, where nobody can break you, right? And what I realized is this, that my diamond, my brand, is so much more than I thought it was at the beginning. When I started out doing my master thesis, you know, I thought I was the cleverest woman on the planet when I was 26. You know, how would people not want to work with me? Look, I know so much. You know, I wrote the bloody master thesis on the semiotics of radio advertising. What does that mean, right? And this was my attitude. I was full of myself, right? And then I realized that I was hiding behind my knowledge. So everything I put out was, you know, I can help you with this, I can do this for you, I can do this for you. But they had no idea who I am, and they didn't know what my values are and who I really am. So I created this definition of the brand in this way. So your unique diamond brand is made of these components, your unique mix in your market, even if you are in a really crowded market, okay? Knowledge, right? That is a big one. You have to have the expertise about the product or service that you are doing. That's a given, right? But you also have all the other knowledge that life brought to you, right? If you know how to do pottery, right? Believe me, that will come in handy one day. Yes? Do you know the story of Steve Jobs doing a calligraphy course at university? And he thought, how could that ever happen to me? But now, when we see how the product is designed and everything, you know that he was really big on visuals, right? And he knew a few things. So everything that you learn in life, no matter what it is, can somehow add to the mix of your unique brand worth 400 trillion. And all the shit and glory experience that has happened to you in life, believe me, it is there for a reason, and you had to learn something. Your talents, yes, you have talents, and when I talk to people, they freeze. When I tell them to write 35 amazing things about themselves, they curse me more than they have cursed anybody in their lives because they don't want to talk about themselves, and they have no bloody idea what their talent is. You see, so this is how we start working on success of your brand and your company, your talents, your knowledge, your shit and glory experience. And, really important one, values and beliefs. What's your opinion about the world? What are your values about your industry? What are your values about relationship, about life, about nature, right? And only then you add your product or service. And now this is your brand. Not to mention, you know, the people that you are with. Right? This is really important, that you know that you have people around you who are not the same as you. This is one of my biggest mistakes, that I employed a woman who I thought was, you know, a perfect clone of myself, and that was shit because I suck at so many things and I need people who are better than me, but that's really, really hard for your ego, right? So, and the third thing I learned is care. So this is why I created a new concept of modern marketing called Marcareting. And people would say, sure, you need to care about your clients. Wrong. You need to care about yourself first. And you have to do this. You are not a victim of your circumstance. And because you have not put out your product, or you don't want to go out because you're in Serbia and it's such, and you're not in EU and you can't do shit because you're from Serbia, that's all shit. Stop blaming other people. Stop blaming your mother, your parents, your country, your new president, your mayor, and blah, blah, blah. It's all you. You are the captain of what you want to do. And if you want to tell people about your story, go bloody do it on Facebook right now. Go out, I will not be offended, and go tell the story. But please don't tell me, oh, I can't, you know, there's no Wi-Fi here. Well, then go out and do it. Right? And I've heard excuses. You know why? Because you can't bullshit the bullshitter. And bullshitter was me for so many years. Right? When people come to me and say, oh, God, I can't do that. And I said, oh, I read you like an open book. That was me. That was me a few years ago. I can't do that. I can't do that. Okay? So marketing, going from marketing to marcareting, is that you first need to care about yourself, work on yourself, know what your values are, know what your talents are, and then mindset is the beginning of effective marketing and effective business. So what is marketing? Have you all said this word at least once in your life? Yes? So can you give me a definition, a coherent sentence with a beginning and full stop at the end? What is marketing? Telling a story, yes? Louder? Having a story, sorry. Telling what? Okay, good. You're good on stories. Yes, definitely, a story. So, my blunt definition of marketing is a conversation between two people. How does that sound? So, one who has what the other one desires or needs. So, every little contact of your brand with an outside world is what marketing is. And people open up, restaurants or whatever they open up, and they say, oh, we just didn't have money for marketing. And then I know, oh, they haven't heard Lazar speak at the university, or they haven't been to any my talks or Lidia's or whoever, right? This is the thing. Marketing is everything you do, a connection with the people on the other side. So I use this analogy, right, to show you that this is what you are all about, and then you just give it to the world with every contact you have, right? And then we go through every contact, I go through workshops, we do this, and then people realize, oh my God, I have been creating a conversation or a meaning with people by doing that. And mostly they want to create a connection with people and clients, and they don't do anything. They're invisible. They don't want to go on Facebook because their logo is not perfect yet, or their website is not yet perfect, right? You've heard it so many times, but you still are waiting. So when it comes to marketing, yes, we have completely done disgrace to it. It screams. People hate doing it. It is a liar. I don't have time for it. I don't have money for it, right? This is all the excuses that we find. And I just think that marketing lost its heart, honesty, and humanity. And the reason why it came into life in the first place was to help people find each other. That's it. This is how you find your clients. So my mission is to bring back the meaningful connection between two people, okay? And with two people, I didn't say brand to client because I don't believe that. I believe that it has to be between two people, human to human. So the easy way where I can teach you about marketing strategy, I could talk here for, let's say, 3 hours, and I would teach you everything. And I would teach you how to raise your income by 50%, or how to raise your open rate in newsletter sending to 59%. I could teach you that easily. But you know what the hardest thing is? That knowing everything about marketing means shit if you don't move your mindset and move to action and actually do what I teach you. But sometimes we're so damn scared to do this and try something else. Don't you think Milena was scared to book this place? Of course she was. Don't you think Milena was scared of seeing how many people would turn out if she did something with all her heart and all the people that have worked really hard for this? But she had ovaries to do that. So I can teach you marketing strategies in a second, right? I can just give you access to my Modern Marketing Academy and do that in an instant. But the thing is, the hardest thing is move your beautiful brain and butt to action and do things differently and actually do things, execute. Okay, so the fourth thing that's really, really big is values and beliefs. So I believe in and I want to live in a world are the beginning of sentences that I all wish for you to write down before you go write that bloody business plan. Just write what you truly believe in about life. And please don't tell me I believe in being honest, okay? Tell me, go deep with people. Don't be shallow, okay? Don't tell me all that cliche bullshit. Just go really deep. Number 5, nakedly honest. So show yourself to the world, real, raw, relevant, and mostly human to human, all right? And that. Okay? This is what's holding you back. Not that you don't have the money or the investors or that you haven't done the pitch and blah, blah, blah. This is holding you back. You want everything to be perfect. And you want to come out to stage or to an interview and be perfect. Well, don't. Listen what Lazar was telling you. That's it. You are not average because you are unique, the only one with a mix of everything I showed you about the diamond slide. Everything creates you, and that's it, right? And you have to be open about this. This is who you truly are. So I have this quote by Seth Godin about abandoning perfection. Oh, bloody hell, I can't read that. Perfect is the ideal defense mechanism. Perfect lets you stall, ask more questions, do more reviews, dumb it down, safe it up, and generally avoid doing everything that might fail or anything important. You're not in the perfect business. Stop pretending that's what the world wants from you. Truly perfect is becoming friendly with your imperfections on the way to doing something remarkable. How does that sound? Can you give yourself a round of applause for being imperfectly perfect? Number 6, give, then take. Or, even better, then ask. This is something that I got, well, that I have been doing a long time, but Gary Vee has this concept of give, and then ask. And I will tell you how you can give value to people, and I'll show you how I do it. 3 years ago, I wrote an ebook about modern marketing in Slovene, and I posted it online, just pouring my heart, everything I know, and how I do it. And in one that was the book when I was 38, and in one day it got 899 downloads, right? And I just gave it for free, everything I know. And then what I do is I call people and I ask them, what can I help you with? This is something that was completely out of my comfort zone. I told you once that I'm an introvert. Talking on the phone is really difficult for me. And Gary Vee said, why don't you just ask people how you can help them? So in my mailing list, in my database, I wrote out an email saying, what can I help you with? Give me your phone number, and I will call every one of you, and I will answer any question about marketing that you have. And I called that. And I did that, and I was calling people for 3 weeks. Random people that I have never met in my life. And I was so scared. What if they ask me something that I won't have an answer to? And then I remember a story about Dalai Lama being at a summit. And they asked him a question, and he was silent for a minute. And then he said, I don't know. So if Dalai Lama can say, I don't know, I can say, I don't know too, right? So, and I called these people, and it was amazing, really. And you know what happened? They got answers, a shortcut to something that was really bothering them in their marketing. Something I knew an answer to right away. I even called people in Čačak, in Bucharest, in Budapest, and in Belgrade. And one of the people that I called a month and a half ago has now become a really important part of my life. And I've never met her before, I will meet her now. But we have connected in this group that I have created because of these calls, because I see that so many people have actual questions that I can answer in 2 minutes. I can give them shortcuts to something that you would have to learn for maybe a few weeks or even years, right? And this is why you should talk to people who have gone through more stuff than you and listen and learn. And this is how you will get shortcuts. So amazing things happen out of this. I got more talk contracts and stuff like that. I never asked for anything. I just gave. This was not a pitch. This was me actually giving to people and talking on the phone, right? So that was really, really amazing when that happened. And you know what the best thing was? My confidence went up. And yes, we all need that. We need to keep our confidence on a certain level so that we can actually go and do this and be strong enough to actually go and change the world, right? to be us. So, I will run through because I have to finish. Okay, so patience is one thing that, believe me, that is really important. And I can tell you this, okay? Maybe I can do a Facebook Live later on and just finish the presentation on my own Facebook. Okay, do you want that? Yes, we need to be really respectful for all the other things happening. So patience was really important for me to understand that I need to have patience, that nothing happens over time. You are not the star and I'm not the star of today. I need to give you something valuable today, okay? It's always like that, so don't write on your website. We are a company which started in 2012 and we are a team of blah, blah. Don't do that shit. That's so 1999, okay? Actually tell people what you believe in and you start with that sentence, we believe in, and then go deep and they will connect. So you are the medium. Yes, that's so important. Stop waiting for other people to give you the spotlight and just go and do it on your own. You are your own TV, you are your own newspaper, your own radio, and you have it in your hand right now. This has never been a more powerful generation that you are now, so stop waiting for others and actually move on your own, okay? Promise me that. You have to go out and you have to do things so that people see you. Values. Oh, yes, values are important. So this is why I'm giving it to you again. You write a manifesto and write it 10 to 15 15 sentences about what you believe in. And then number 11, I said 10, but I know I'm doing like there is no box. My people, really important. Choose who to lose. And by giving your values, you will just be a magnet for your right people. If you just hide behind your product or service, you will be approached by everyone. And you don't want to work with everyone because you will both not be happy working with everyone. Sell proudly. Don't be ashamed of what you have to offer to the world. And I was ashamed, believe me. And projects bigger than me. So whatever project that you're doing, it has to be bigger than just that project and that price. It has to have a legacy, what you want to leave behind. Number 14 is be visible. And that is one of my big takeaways I hope you get from me. Be on their radar constantly. That means every day and consistently. What is your message? What are your 3 messages to the world with your product or your service with your brand? Okay, so is this the end? No, not before you get 2 cool gifts from me. One gift is that my new book is going to be out soon, before Bucharest. It's called The Naked Brand. And thank you. And you could go to nakedbrand.org. And I hope that my webmaster and my team had set it up. If not, just find me on Lenja Faraguna on Facebook, and I will tell you how you can get 1 chapter for free and 2 bonus videos from me. And the second one is, again, my beautiful ladies are going to give you something, and this is a promise to yourself, world changer. I've given you, they're probably waiting for you when you go out. You will get a big poster from me, and this is a pledge to yourself of, you know, the most important things that I was talking about today. So what I want to say is this: make money and change the world, and don't forget that you are a bloody world changer. Bye.
Hello? Whoa. Hello, how's everyone doing? Can we turn the lights down a little bit? Can't see a thing. Can you give me some noise? I can't hear anything out there. Oh, hello. How is everybody? You well? So my name's Steve. I've just come over from the UK to speak for you. I'm going to do that tomorrow. That's a lot better. Thank you. That's amazing. Wow, look at you. And up there. I'm going to stand. Can you see me? Hello. So I've come over here because I'm going to speak tomorrow. So if any of you want to come and hear me talk tomorrow, we'll go for that. That's not what I'm doing here now. It's my birthday today. I know, right? And I've flown over here to come and see you all. And this is amazing. I have to say, can we give a massive round of applause for everything that all the team have done to put this on? I just want to share something very, very quickly with you. And I'm not going to bore you with my backstory, but I'm just going to let you know that I left the army. I was in the army for 6 years. And when I left the army, I struggled. I was homeless 3 times. I lived in a car for 6 months. I went bankrupt. I had a gambling addiction. I went through a really bad time. And the only thing that got me through it, were the people that were around me. Does that make sense? Look at the people that are around you now. These are the people that have the similar beliefs to you, that have the similar dreams, visions, and aspirations. So just spend a minute, 1 minute right now, and introduce yourself to the person next to you. Have a chat. Tell them your name. Tell them what you do. You can swap seats if you want to swap seats. If you don't want to talk to your mother, maybe go and talk to someone else's mother. What about the other side? Turn around. Talk to the person on the other side of you. Tell them your name. Is there no one there? Then move. You can get up and move. You can move about. There's nothing wrong with that. This is the best chance you're going to have right now to meet new people. This is the best chance you're going to have. So I went to a conference when I was homeless. I went to a conference and I sat outside the VIP entrance and I busked. I put, "We'll work for my education, can build websites." That's how I started my journey. I didn't have a clue what to do. But out of that, I got about 200 business cards, and it started my journey. It started what I'm doing today. It allowed me to write a book. It allowed me to do all the things I'm doing, and I'll talk more about all that tomorrow. But what I'm trying to get, the point I'm trying to get across now is we can stand on stage and we can talk to you, and you could passively listen, or you could get involved. You can actively get involved. You can talk to each other. And the more you interact, the more you take action, the more you'll do. Because learning this is simple. You can learn it. You can go on YouTube and learn it, but you're here. So what I really, really urge you to do during a lunch break, when you go for lunch, is just connect with as many people as you can. Does that make sense? Really? Does it make sense? That's it. Have an amazing lunch.